What's up guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. Today we are talking about Logic Pro 10, and especially we're talking about the vintage EQ collection that was added in the latest update of Logic Pro 10, the latest version of Logic Pro 10, and we're going to be working our way through all three of these EQs one by one. Today we're going to be talking about the Tube EQ, but before we start, I usually tell you this at the end of the video, but I'll tell you at the beginning today. I have a absolutely free ebook for you to download. It's a complete guide to all of the equipment, all of that audio equipment you'll need to get started recording and mixing on an affordable budget. It's got all of my recommendations, as I said, all of those pieces of equipment you need to get started. It's even got a chart at the back of the book that you can use to calculate your spending and check off all the things you need and all of that. So it's 25 pages long, absolutely free from me to you. There's a link in the video description. Click on that link, you give me your email address, I send it over to you, you enjoy it, bish bosh bash, awesome. So let's get started then. Today we are talking about this Tube EQ. This is a really nice sounding EQ, a great plugin. It's very friendly, all the knobs and dials are very easy to use. There's a lot you can do with it, but first off, let's start with what is this EQ plugin based on? What is the outboard gear we are trying to emulate here? And the answer to that question is, this is the Pultec EQP-1A. It's a very famous EQ that has been used in many famous studios around the world for years and years. And one of the things you'll notice about this EQ is there's some really nice saturation to be had when using it. That's the main reason we go over to these emulation plugins, whether it's a compressor or an EQ or whatever. We usually use them to grab a bit of that saturation that you get from some of those more vintage pieces of equipment. So let's have a look here. Today we're looking at this little string arrangement. These are some virtual strings that I had in a track, and they're very epic sounding. And basically I used this this Pultec EQ to just bring up a little of that top end, because you'll find with most of your virtual instruments you need to boost a lot of that top end to make things sound more realistic and more like the real recording. So let's have a listen. So listening to it there, you can hear things are kind of muffled, and that's something you come up against a lot with virtual instruments, is that sort of like there's a blanket over the top of your strings. We actually did a whole playlist on strings and pads and how to mix them and get them to sound more realistic and get them to sound larger than life and all of that. So you can go ahead and check that out on the channel, Pads and Strings mini-series. I think it was 3 parts. Go ahead and check that out. But anyway, what we're going to do here is turn this on, and we've got a high boost here of 5 dB. I believe that's 5 dB, or it's just 5 on the meter there. These all run from 0 to 10. And this bandwidth is, we've got this wide bandwidth here. Let's narrow that down a little bit. There we go, 2.6. And the frequency we're boosting at is 6,000 hertz or 6 kilohertz. And things really come to life when we bring this in. So let's have a listen. I'll start with it on, turn it off, turn it back on. We can hear the difference. Alrighty. All right, we can really hear things coming to life there. It really brings, it takes that blanket off of the sound of the strings there. But there's some really nice things you can do here. So as I said, we've got this boost here, but also I'm going crazy on the drive over here. I mean, I wouldn't do this on mix bus or anything, or on your mix bus or anything like that. Or, you know, if I was producing something more classical or folk music or something, I wouldn't be driving this as hard as I am. But it sounds really nice on this because we're looking for that aggressive attack sound. This is actually a hip hop track. So I've got that dialed in all the way up to 11, but you can play around with that. It's really nice. You get a lot of this nice saturation. So once again, this is the Pultec EQP-1A, and it's a really, really nice sounding emulation plugin from Logic. So enjoy.